A former Republican official in New Jersey decided it'd be a great idea to call the cops on his neighbor, a 9-year-old black girl, for doing her part in killing a local invasive species. Now here's what happened. On the morning of October 22nd in Caldwell, New Jersey, fourth grader Bobby Wilson, fourth grader, just remember, fourth grader, blows my mind, had found a recipe for an environmentally safe lanternfly spray on TikTok and wanted to try it out on the nearby trees she saw that were infested. So let's just pause for a second. The lanternfly is absolutely an invasive species. It comes from China, likely through trade. It made its way here to the United States, and it is destroying crops, it's destroying trees, and there is this very real effort to kill them. And so this 9-year-old was doing her part, like super sweet. Now, she'd been learning about the invasive species in class, her family said, and wrote a paper on their environmental impact. The influx of spotted lanternflies across the Northeast has become a viral topic, with many homemade solutions and government recommended methods to help stop the spread of the insects, including the See It, Squish It campaign. While Wilson was testing the solution on her street, a 71-year-old neighbor by the name of Gordon Lawshe, who reportedly served as the co-head and treasurer of the Caldwell Republican Committee until last year, spotted the little girl and thought, let me call the police on her. It's a great idea. Now, Bobby's mom, Monique Joseph, described Lawshe's reaction to her daughter at a local board meeting last week. Let's take a look at that.
The morning of October 22nd, our neighbor called the police, identified himself as Gordon Lawshe, and reported there's a little black woman walking, spraying stuff on the sidewalks and trees. I don't know what the hell she's doing. It scares me though. And included that she was wearing a hoodie. It is sickening and scary to hear my neighbor use triggering words that have resulted in the death of too many Black and brown children and adults at the hand of the police.
Now, Bobby's 13-year-old sister also spoke at this meeting with Bobby right beside her, just to share the kind of impact it's had on this 9-year-old. Let's watch that.
While researching them, she realized there's a non-toxic solution you can make at home that can effectively kill the spotted lantern bug. She proceeded to make a mixture which was made up of water, apple cider vinegar, and a little Dawn dish soap. She then discovered multiple infested trees on our street and decided to give the solution a try by spraying them on the trees and the actual bug. She was not only doing something amazing for our environment, she was doing something that made her feel like a hero. First of all, she wasn't on his property, and second of all, he knows us. We're his neighbor, and it's not like there's numerous other Black families on our street. It's not only racist what he did, but it was extremely traumatic for my sister.
She's a 9-year-old. Look at how tiny she is. She's so tiny. How do you call the cops on a freaking 9-year-old girl? How do you do it?
And but his quote was devastating in its accuracy for, unfortunately, how racists in this country think. So yes, if you're triggered by the word racist, first of all, look into yourself and figure out why that bothers you. Okay, but listen to this quote. The mom read it for you, but I'm going to emphasize parts. There's a little black woman walking around, he said. Now, often Black people are considered to be mistakenly older than they actually are. It happens to young Black males all the time. They're on average considered by others to be 4 years older than they actually are. It makes them, it allows the cops to treat them as adults when they're actually just kids. So you see her, that's Bobby right there. Does she look like a woman to you? What is?
She's tiny. She's tiny.
So
She's
tiny, right?
She's a little girl.
And I think that he's partly saying that because in his mind, Black people are scary and bigger, right? And that's what the studies show people think, unfortunately, right? The other reason is he doesn't want to say, hey, I'm calling the cops on a little kid, because it makes you look like a monster because you are a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. How about you're scary? 71-year-old creep calling the cops on a freaking 9-year-old girl who's doing nothing wrong or suspicious.
Remember, he knows them. So he knows who she is, that she's a 9-year-old girl who lives across the street. And then listen to this last part. I don't know what the hell she's doing. It scares me though. And that right there is a description of like almost every racist in the country. I don't know what anything about black folks,
how about retire,
but they scare me.
Yeah, how about retire to your bunker, bitch, and leave a 9-year-old girl alone? How about that? Okay.
A 9-year-old girl scares you? And then this is the classic Republican way of thinking. Like, and remember Trump when he said, we have to stop all Muslims from coming into the country until we figure out what the hell is going on. Because right-wingers are always confused as to what the hell is going on. And they don't know and they're afraid. And they're like, oh, I know, the answer is to lash out at someone who doesn't look like me. And that's what they did here. And guys, one more time, this is depressing because this is New Jersey. So okay, maybe you think that it still exists in some parts of the South and you wish that weren't the case. No, it exists everywhere. And if you're not a minority and you never had to deal with it, understand that other people do have to deal with it and they have to live with this for their whole lives. Can we please get a little bit of empathy going forward?
I have to say one final thing. You know, the best thing about kids is that they're so pure and so sweet and so like innocent. Like they haven't been jaded yet. And it's people like this 71-year-old piece of garbage who take that innocence away from kids. And it hardens them into people like me. You know, honestly though, it's the truth. And it makes me so angry that that little girl had to deal with that kind of harassment from her neighbor. Okay, 9-year-old little girl. Anyway, I wish I could give her a hug. I feel terrible that she went through that. Luckily the cops, handled it well. They didn't, do what we've shared millions of stories of them doing in the past.
Yeah, and so calling in something like that could actually endanger someone's life. So it's a very serious thing to do. But give credit to the local cops for handling it right. So we appreciate that. So that's wonderful that that got better. But this is all around us. If you don't experience it, understand that it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's just happening to other people that aren't you.